Friends.
Hang on, Anton, we're not ready. Here we go.
Hey, hey guys, you know what time it is. It's another edition of Antoine and Friends. And you know I have a very, very special guest, one of my favorite authors, Miss Cyana Riley. Guys, she is amazing. She's going to be reading her book, Not So Different Today. And I know you guys are definitely going to enjoy it. So, Cyana, take it away.
Hello. Today I'm going to read my book, Not So Different. Not So Different, written by me, Cyana Riley, and the illustrator is Anastasia Cavalier. Let's see. Everyone is different, so different, can't you see? You look just like you, and I look just like me. My mama is black, my daddy is white. Put the two together, and I came out just right. My hair is kinky curly. Your hair is silky straight. Even though they're different, they both are really great. The world needs different people. It's called diversity. Let's shout out loud about it. It's up to you and me. Let's celebrate our differences and spread our love around. Deep inside of each of us, so much love can be found. And since we are all different, it is the way to be. I can learn from you, and you can learn from me. How boring would it be if we were all the same? We'd have the same look, same hair, same skin, and even the same name. That would be pretty boring. It doesn't seem like fun to have only friends like you. So go find someone different and make them your friend too. And even though we're different, some things are still alike. We can both love red. We both love riding on our bike. So, yes, everyone is different. We are all different. This is true. But just because we're different does not mean I can't love you, because I do. The end. Thank you for letting me share this story with you today.
Tiana, I love, no, I really love that story because it just makes me think of how much more we as individuals need to actually embrace our own individuality, right? It's not about, if, like you said, if everybody were the same, this world would be so boring,
It
right?
would. It
I
would.
mean, so I mean, just the fact, like I said, if we could just embrace our differences, because that's what really makes us unique. Whether somebody's hair is long, short, or it just really makes a difference when we can just embrace who we are. So that's
Yeah.
what just hearing you read that book again, I was just like, it was just really just made me just think about that. Embrace who we are.
Yeah, and that's what makes the world beautiful. The differences that we all bring to this world is what makes the world a beautiful place.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing I was thinking about, I said, you know what? People are precious. that's just what, like, people, we are just so precious. Like, I just think about, like I said, just we're not so different. So it's not necessarily just about our physical appearance, right? But just think about all the different skills and talents that makes
Absolutely.
everybody so unique, right? I just said, wow, we're all just so precious. So this book is just so much further than our outside appearance, right? Like, get past
Absolutely.
outside, look at what's on the inside. Look
Yep.
how our gifts or our skills or talents can complement each other,
And
right?
our knowledge, we can, everyone has a different set of knowledge, and our skills, we can learn from each other. So absolutely.
Absolutely. I was like, so that's why this book is just so important just for, because I'm just like, man, just as an adult, right? Not just for kids, just to, embrace their, differences and uniqueness and all personal individuality, just for adults to even, come back and just like, you know what? Hit the reset button, just like, embrace who they are and maybe, start to look at others different. Like, you know what, this person, we are different, but I think we could, maybe we could
Right.
work together. So I'm just like, this book was just absolutely perfect. I mean, it really
Thank
was. It
you.
was such a great read. And oh man, I have so many questions for you. I'm just really
I'm so excited.
excited. So I want to ask you, when did you actually formally become an author?
So I actually formally became an author. The book launched on June the 12th of this year. I knew I wanted to be an author. I feel like it was over 10 years ago, that I
Wow.
knew that this was a dream. But, 10 years ago, it was so far-fetched. I just was like, oh, in a perfect world, I would be a children's book author. But I didn't really think that it was going to happen. So yeah, it was definitely when I was working with children, because I've been writing since I was in elementary school. So, I started writing poems, and then in junior high school, I started creating like fictional stories. Um, and so it wasn't until I started teaching that I decided that I wanted to write children's stories.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's funny because, like I said, I've been writing the same since I was about 6 years old. Like, I
Yeah,
remember, like, I formally became an author in 2017,
right.
but I remember, like, it was yesterday. My mother, I was 6 years old, and she wrote me this little desk. And she said, you know what? You can finally have a desk. You can write, you can draw,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want. And I was like, I just thought about that from age 6 to age 31. I'm like, wow, that was 25 years, like just writing behind the scenes, right? Just
Right. So,
writing.
so that means you've been an author. I mean, I feel like that means you've been an author all that time. Like to the world, I just became an author, but like you said, you've been writing that long. I've been writing that long. I've been writing for so long that I feel like I just recently officially became an author to the world. But that's something that's been ingrained in us for so long.
It's true. Like it's always been like, yeah, we've been in the dark, right? We've been in the dark working, and now like everybody knows who we are now. But it's just an interesting process. And
Yes.
what you want? Could you show the pictures again? Like the
Yes,
illustrations
of
are
course.
immaculate.
Of
Like
course. And
they're really
let
beautiful.
me make sure.
Those are beautiful, guys. I love those illustrations. And
And so
who's
this
the illustrator again?
my
I'm sorry.
illustrator is Anastasia Cavalier. And there's an interesting story about how I found her. I actually found her on Instagram, and she's
Ah,
just amazing. She's a young girl. She's 20 years old. She lives in Belarus, and she's just amazing.
oh, she is absolutely. Those are beautiful.
Let me just show. And this is the picture.
Wow, yeah, those are really nice.
Thank
Those are
you.
really nice. And how long did it take to put the whole book together, like the illustrations and everything?
So it was let's see. So the illustrations, it took about I'll say about 3 months, 3 or 4 months. We went back and forth, and the thing I loved about her is that she gave me like raw sketches at first to make sure that it's what I liked and that what I enjoyed and what I wanted. And then she would go back and fine tune it, and then she would color it. So there were different stages, and I got to see the growth of the illustrations from just a raw sketch image, which looks like it was done with just pencil, and then just the progress of it. And it's a really good process that she took me on, and I really appreciate and understand the hard work of being an illustrator.
Oh, yes. And if you don't mind, could you highlight that
Yep.
last page where all the kids are like
Oh, and let's see. Oh,
laying
yeah.
there?
That's actually one of my favorite pages right here.
Absolutely. And could you read that page again? Because I think there's a
Okay.
message that our viewers definitely
Of,
can get from that.
of course. So, yes, everyone is different. We are all different. This is true. But just because we're different does not mean I can't love you, because I do.
Wow. A powerful message. The illustrations are beautiful. The diversity is beautiful. Like that is really a wonderful book. Like it
Thank you
really is.
so much.
And I love how illustrators really bring our stories to life. And like
Sure.
when I saw I met my illustrator Charity Russell on Upwork.com.
Okay.
So one of my past guests, Melinda Rapp, we were co-teaching together, and she had written her first book. And I'm sitting there like I'm like asking her every day, right? I'm just trying to pick her mind, like, how did you do this? How did you do that? Like, how long is this going to take? Why should I do this or why should I do it that way? And she said, you know what? I got an idea for you. I said, what? She's like, if you really want some good talent, why don't you go to Upwork.com? I said, okay. I went to Upwork.com and I saw my illustrator's portfolio. And I said, wow, like she does some really beautiful work, but she lives in Sunderland, England, right? So I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. Like, what about the time zone
Yep.
difference? Like, what if I need to call you? Like, how is this going to work? So did any of that like play a factor into why you chose your illustrator? Like, since she lives in Belarus, like how did that work?
Sure. So I definitely kind of experienced some of that as well. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, so I originally didn't go with this illustrator. I originally hired someone else, and I think that's so important for authors to be very specific about your illustrator, because every illustrator has a different style, and the style that I originally was looking for, the first person who I hired wasn't able to do it. And I mean, he was a brilliant illustrator, but he just didn't fit my style. And I think that illustrators, they appeal to different audience and different people. So when I found my illustrator on Instagram, I went through the same thing with you. I looked through her portfolio, and her pictures just captivated me. And I contacted her, and she told me she lived in Belarus, and I kind of felt like you, like, oh my gosh, she lives in Belarus. How is this going to work? Or, even more so, how do I know this is legit? Because this is someone that is completely on the other side of the world.
Right.
How will I know that I'm going to pay her and she's going to give me, material? So, after talking with her, and we had to do a lot of conversations at night, because I think we are 12-hour different, I believe. So when I'm up, she's actually going to sleep. And so we would communicate a lot through Instagram, and it just worked out. I've never talked to her on the phone. I've never heard her voice, because I'm not sure how well her English is. So she just preferred to communicate with me via messages on Instagram and email, which worked perfect. It worked out perfect.
And and that's the same thing. We were what, 5.5 hours difference.
Okay.
So like I said, it would be like the crack, like it would be so early over here. I would just wake up and try to catch her like in a late morning, early afternoon stage so we could talk. And it was just interesting because I said, you know what, she lives too far. I don't know how this is going to work. And then she had hit me back and said, you know what? Is the opportunity still available? I said, you know what? This must be meant to be. So we figured it out. We downloaded WhatsApp. So we would talk and we would text, and it all worked out. So I'm just like this way, it all worked out. So what's meant to be. When you find the right fit, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
So I wanted to ask you, did you have a mentor? Because I ask, did you have a mentor in the process?
So I did not have a mentor, and that is something that I am so focused on giving back and creating for other young writers, because I didn't have a mentor, and I didn't have anyone in my immediate circle or even on the outer circle who was in this field or who knew anything about this field. So I navigated this pretty much until the end by myself. I was lucky that I found two wonderful women who had already written children's books who I could go to ask them questions towards the end of the process. But I pretty much navigated it by myself, which, I did it, but a mentor would have made it a lot easier. It would have been helpful to have a mentor that I could call and rely on to ask questions, or that could just even build me up. Because, I think with a lot of writers, or I'll speak for myself, you need to be built up to like push your work out there. I sat on my work for 3 years before I did anything with it, just because I was afraid and I didn't want to put it out there. But I think a mentor would have been the perfect person to share my story with, who would encourage me to put it out sooner. So that's definitely something that I am looking forward to, being a mentor to other people who are looking to write books. I definitely want to do that and help them along the way.
Oh no, that's good. It's always good to give back and to encourage, other authors.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference to have a mentor. I
Yep.
mean, just to have someone to walk you through the process.
Yep.
Like I said, I had Melinda Rapp there every day, like literally every day, to be able to ask questions, to review my text and say, what do you think about this? How's the plot weaving together? So it just to have somebody there to pitch ideas off, it just makes such a big difference. Because
I
writing
agree.
a book, I just said, it's like you're in the wilderness. Like, where do I actually start? Right? Like, yes, you have the idea,
Yep.
but how do I actually put it together?
Or
So,
like, then what do I do next? Like, okay, so I've written this book, and then now what? Like, I sat on the now what for so long. Like, okay, I wrote this, and then now what do I do with it? So, I think I did a lot of things, maybe a little backwards, but they got done. I didn't get edited until like further down the process, where I should have edited it right after I got it done. Um, Again, help with finding the illustrator. I think that would have having a mentor would have told me a lot of things about that I had to find out on my own, which is fine. Again, it's fine, and I made the mistake, so the next person that I help, I can stop them from making the same mistakes that I made.
oh, absolutely. Right. That's my number one goal. Let me save you some heartache. Right. Let me
Yeah.
save you some of the pain. So
Mhm.
I'm with you on that. So what actually inspired you to write the book?
Okay, so again, when I was a teacher, I recognized the underrepresentation of Black and Brown children in children's stories. There weren't a lot of books that had Black and Brown children as the main character, and so that kind of put the fire under me that I wanted. I knew then that I wanted to write children's book with Black and Brown children in it. I wanted to try to, decrease the gap. So it wasn't until I had my son that he inspired me to write this book, Not So Different. I was looking for a lot of books that, again, had Black or brown characters, or that displayed our family structure. My son is biracial, so my husband's white, and I was looking for books that would have our family structure in the pages of a book, and I couldn't find many. I found maybe one or two, but because I couldn't find many, I decided to create something. I wanted my children to see themselves and our family structure in the pages of a book. And I knew that this was a need that other families had to have as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to thank you for taking that leap of faith and putting this beautiful content, like I said, along with the illustrations out there for the world to see. Like, I'm so glad that you took that step because, like I said, we need that diversity. It's so crucial. So I believe to the development of our children to be able to see themselves, in books, right? So I just want to personally just thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And it's not even just for our children, representation matters absolutely, but also for children in general. Like, children in general need to have a diverse set of books, a diverse library. I'm a firm believer that boys should read books that have girls as the main characters, because how else will they know that girls are brave, girls are strong? Like, how else will they know these things when they're so young if they don't have access to a little girl in their life? So I think that, all children need diversity in their library.
Oh, absolutely. And what's funny, Cyana? Someone that asked me after the Little Annie's World, after the first series is over, excuse me, was I going? They said, "Are you going to have a girl spinoff?" Right? I said, I don't know, but I'm not against it, right? Like
Right,
taking some of
right.
the female characters and making them a lead character. And actually, over the last few months, since the person asked me that question, I said, you know what? I might actually do it. Like have a book just featuring all the female characters of my book and just have them lead for maybe one or two. I don't know how many more books in the little Annie series I plan on doing. But I said, you know what? That's actually a really good idea.
It is. It's a great idea. I would love that. I would love to see that.
And so, I mean, just having an opportunity, like I said, with diversity. And from your comments, I'm assuming you think or you understand that diversity is important in literature. And why? I'm just trying to figure out what do you think it's going to take for diversity just to continue to influence the market? Because that's the issue.
So I think that it's gotten better. I'm going to say, I'm going to start with that. It's gotten better than what it was before because, well, so I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but growing up, I don't remember seeing, or I don't remember having children's book that had a Black girl in it or anyone that looked like me that I could relate to. So it has gotten better. However, the gap is still really, really big. And I think that, the fact that there are more animals as main characters in children's books, and I think that the number is something like 10% of children's books have Black and brown characters as the main character. 10%. Like that's not enough. That's not enough. That's not acceptable. And so I am definitely devoted and dedicated to creating books that have Black and brown characters in them I'm not sure how much of it'll make a difference, but I am devoted to creating books with those characters to help just decrease that gap. And I think that in indie authors, I see a lot of it. I see a lot of diversity in the books, but on the big mainstream publications, and you don't see it a lot, or you don't see a lot of diverse books written by Black or brown people. Like one of my favorite books, by author Ezra Jack Keats. Like he writes books with Black and brown children, and he's white, which is great. But I think there also needs to be a space where Black authors can share our stories as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, diversity is the key. And that was something that I thought about when I first created my series. I want to have characters of all ethnic groups in my
Yep,
book because at the end of the day, we're all human. That's just the
absolutely.
message I wanted to get out there. So I definitely thank you again for putting that content out there. And it is making a difference.
Thank
It
you.
is. Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, are you working on any new books right now?
I've started to work on a new book in the beginning phases of it. So I have notes and I'm doing a little bit of outlines. I had a little girl who I read the book to not too long ago. She told me that because the book is based on my son. My son is the main character in the book, and so she told me that I needed to write a book with my daughter as the main character because if I didn't, she was going to be very upset when she got
Oh,
older. Which I'm like, okay, that's a good point. So we'll see. I'm dibbling and dabbling, trying to figure out where I'm going to go with the next book, and so outlining has started, and hopefully the writing will come soon.
all right. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you don't want to get her upset, right? You gotta make sure you do something. So no, that's cool. Do you have what were some of the challenges you really faced as author? What were some of the major challenges?
Well, I think the finding an illustrator was a little challenging initially. Um, Honestly, one of the biggest challenges was within myself, with like just being confident enough to put out something so personal, put out something that I created to um, everyone to see. Like that was one of the big challenges. I think also as an indie author, it's hard to get as much recognition as other authors who are with big companies. I think we have to work harder and prove ourselves, and it's hard to get that exposure that a lot of the other books have with because they're backed by these big companies. So I would say those are probably some of the really hard challenges that I've faced.
You know what? I'm actually with you on that. As far as being an independently published author, the thing that really breaks my heart is when I would look at different book festivals or book fairs to attend, I would get excited. Like, okay, let me take all the opportunities to maximize my exposure and connect with other authors. And then I would go to the sign up page and I would
Yep.
see no self published
Published.
books
Yep.
allowed.
Yep.
And I would just, I just couldn't believe what was happening. I'm like, why? What difference does it really make? You know,
Right.
like that would just really, really hurt me.
My hope is as that change. I mean, I know that it's changing, but it has to change soon because there are so many indie authors who have written amazing books, and then there are books that are with big corporations that really aren't that good. So it's just like it's the fact that they are backed by big corporations is which gives them the big audience and the big push. But I think that indie authors need something like that because I've experienced the same thing as you. I think I was trying to get my book into a bookstore, and same thing. She said, "Okay, well, this is the process that you go through." And then I went there and it said, "No self-published authors. You have to be published with." They listed some companies, and it's shattering. It shatters you. It kind of can, you know, make you feel like, okay, well, because I haven't been chosen by one of these companies, that I'm not worthy enough, which is not the truth at all.
Absolutely.
But I
Absolutely.
purposely, I purposely did not send my book to any publishing companies because I wanted complete creative control over what the characters looked like, and I just wanted creative control. So I didn't even go that route, and I'm not sure if I would go that route. I don't know.
Right. And I'm with you. Like I have nothing against the larger corporations. Like I said, I just wanted that complete, like I said, autonomy over my product. Right. I wanted it to be
Exactly.
written how I wanted it to be written, and like I said, the characters to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. 100%.
There needs to be a
Absolutely.
bigger space for us indie authors.
Well, today's a good opportunity, right? It
Yeah.
starts here, so we are on the way. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Uh, and I wanted to also ask you, as a child, right? When you were in school, did you have the opportunity to see any authors like come to your school, like any author visits, anything?
I did. I did. I actually saw a lot. I can't remember exactly who they were, but I do remember in elementary school having authors come into our classroom and read us books, and it was always such an exciting, I don't know, it was just an exciting day when authors came in. I think that's what I most look forward to when I created this book was going to schools and seeing the children's faces and listening to their questions. And I mean, it's nothing better than that. So yeah, I was happy to experience that as a child, and I'm looking forward to doing that same thing to other children.
And you had an experience, correct, to be able to
I
have the
did.
opportunity to go. Could you tell us
I,
about that?
I did. So just this week I went and I read the book to a school called the Summit School, which was amazing. It was my first school. It was so great talking to the children and listening to their questions and their comments about race and diversity. And it was just great. It was great being in the presence of the children. Of course, I had on a mask. So it was a little different than what I expected my first experience reading this story to children would be like. But it was great. And then yesterday, I just received thank you cards from thank you letters written by the children, which just melted my heart. Like just to read in their thank you notes, like that I touched them or I made them feel normal and not different. Like it's just amazing.
Oh no, I can completely identify with that. My first time visiting school was a middle school here in Prince George's County, and I felt like a rock star, right? Like I felt like
Right.
a celebrity, and I had an opportunity. I brought some books with me because I'm like, well, they're in middle school, I know they probably don't want to, read my books. So I was like, well, let me just bring enough just for they can, pass around for majority of them could, see the book while I was talking about it. And to my surprise, at the end, like these kids, like I just gave them the books and like, hey, you could take it. And they were like, hey, can you autograph the book? So I was like, sure. So I'm autograph my book. Or someone, if they didn't get a book, they had a piece of paper. So I would write a nice note like, hey, keep writing. I want you to have a wonderful school year, stuff like that. It was just an amazing experience, having the opportunity to, take pictures with the kids. Like, it was amazing. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to that. Visiting schools and things like that. The ones that are open, I guess you could say.
I know. And then, I mean, it's still a little different right now because I wasn't able to take any pictures with the children. So I'm looking, but it was still great. But I'm looking forward to those like hands-on experiences to where I can take pictures with the kids and give them hugs and I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, because I know for me, I just wanted to be the author that I didn't have as a kid. That was important. Right? I never had an opportunity to see any authors come in. So I said, I want to make as many author visits as I possibly could.
Right.
So even though I physically can't maybe do it at the time right now, but maybe virtually, right? Have opportunity to read my books to a couple of classes. So hopefully, like I said, being able to get back to that will be great, right? Just being able to get to that. Be in front of kids one way or another, right? That's how I look at it. So what do you prefer? I always ask every author this because I'm like, we're in the technology age, right? So when you're reading, whether it's, leisure time or you have to, do something for work, do you prefer just leisure time, excuse me. When you're reading, do you prefer to like, hey, let me just look at my Kindle, look right on my iPad or something like that? Or do you prefer a nice old-fashioned book in your hands?
I am an old-fashioned girl. I want the book. I want I'll hardcover or soft, it doesn't matter. But I prefer hard probably, but soft is second best. But I need the book. I want the pages. I want to feel it. I want to smell it. Like I am, right now. Yes, like I wanted to smell it. I wanted to smell the pages of like a new book, the bookstore, the library, the bookstore, the library. These are just places that I would just spend time literally walking up and down the aisles, just looking at books. There's something about a book, having a book in my hand. I'm not really a Kindle reader. I don't think I don't do it. I don't do it. I read a book. I'm not an audio listener. I like the actual old fashioned, give me a book. And you know what I credit that to? I credit that to because when I was growing up, my mom always had a book in her purse. Like wherever we were, she's obviously a big reader. She always had a book in her purse. So we were traveling on the train or the bus. I'm sitting there and she has her little book out, and you don't realize it then, but that stuck with me. Like that stuck with me. And I prior to kids, I was the same way. Right now, I don't read as much as I would like to, but hopefully as my children get older, I want to get back to it.
Shout out to Cyana's mom putting that right there, carrying that book in her purse, leaving those lasting impressions. So that's cool. It really makes a difference. I'm the same way. I would normally on a Friday night, I would go to their closing. I would go to a place called Borders. I would just walk. I would just stay there for hours. Like on Friday, I would get there maybe like 6. I probably wouldn't leave till they close. Like I would just sit there and just look at the books and read the magazines. Like that was my Friday night fun. I would just go to Chipotle, get something to eat, and then go straight to the bookstore. And like I said, the libraries, I love hanging out at the libraries. Books are life. That's the books are just full of life, of knowledge. And I mean, it's nothing like a physical book. Like you said, smelling the pages of a book. Like when I get a book, like when my books come from Amazon, when I crack the box open, it's just like an aroma that comes out of the box. Like this is just crazy, but it's just nothing like it's nothing wrong with Kindles and reading stuff like that. No,
not at all. Nope.
But I just like a nice old fashioned hard copy book as well. Yeah. And outside of your career as an author, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing?
I enjoy, well, I am a full-time mom, so that takes up a lot of my time, and I do enjoy being a mom. I also enjoy going to the beach, listening to music, photos. I love taking photos. So I have tons of photos of my family and just taking photos on a normal Saturday or Sunday, whatever. I just like taking photos. What else do I enjoy doing? I enjoy, yeah, listening to music, going to sporting events. I'm a sports girl, so I'll enjoy that as well. And I kind of miss going to sporting events right now.
Oh, cool. So that the mom life, that's cool. Being a mom, because moms are awesome. I love my mom. She's amazing. Where would I be without her? Yeah, moms are absolutely phenomenal. We love you guys.
Well,
Um,
thank you for that.
and also, lastly, how do our audience connect with you? How do if someone like, hey, I want to get some books or send her an email, like she really motivated me or encouraged me, how would
Okay,
they
well,
do you?
I can be reached at so if you want to purchase books, you can do so at www.notsodifferentbook.com. It'll be on Amazon eventually. It's not on there yet. I'm still working on the kinks with that. If you want to contact me, my email is Cyana at notsodifferentbook.com. And also those are my tags for Instagram as well as Facebook. Not so different book.
Oh, nice. And Sienna, the last question, the most important question. If you had any advice for any aspiring authors who are watching today, what would you say?
I would say to aspiring authors to keep writing. Don't stop writing. Continue to write. Don't give up. Push past the fear. Find a mentor. Um, yeah, just keep going. Don't give up. There is a reason why you have that dream inside of you to write. Don't give up. Listen to that intuition. Keep writing and go for it. You have
Hey,
a story to tell. There's no one can tell a story like you can. So you have a story to tell.
I like that. You have a story to tell. Everybody has a story. Here's what I like to say. I said this off camera. There's power in your pen, okay,
Yeah,
or pencil,
there
whatever
is.
whatever you choose
Absolutely.
to write. There's power in your pen or pencil. This just to back up what Sienna said. Whoever's out there watching, you can do it, right? You can just write. The world is so many things to write about. Whatever matters to you most, that's in your heart, release that power through your pen or pencil, and you'll be where you desire to be before you know it.
And also, let me just add, because I think knowing where to start is sometimes the hard part, but just start somewhere. Even if it's not perfect, even if it doesn't isn't the beginning of your story, just start to write notes, anything. It'll come. The process, it'll come.
It will come, guys. Like I said, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. See, you just gave me a energy boost right there. Even with this, guys, if you really feel like you're called to write, this is how you'll know. You can't shake the feeling. You just cannot shake it. When I knew it was time for me to start writing, it was just a feeling that came that it just would not
Oh,
leave, and it just kept growing and growing and growing until I finally took the power that was inside of me with my thoughts, my creativity, and put my pen or pencil to work. So if you feel like, hey, this is something I'm called to do, you'll know because it's a rumbling that will be inside of you and it will not leave you alone. It will bug you until you
it
just
will.
you
Yeah.
got to do it, guys. You've got to do it. And Sion, before we go, if you don't mind, could you tell us about that? How you knew when it was time for you to actually start? Like when was the exact moment you knew like, okay, like I really have to get this out of me?
So
Like,
it's very similar, and that's why I was laughing at what you just said because it was, me being a children's book author, it was like a going joke with one of my co-teachers when I was teaching, and we would always like something would happen, and I was like, I'm gonna write about that in our book. I'm like, watch, I'm gonna write about it, and it would like throughout the course of years, these little things would just keep happening, and I would see a book. And I was like, oh, I'm going to write a book one day, or something would happen. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to write about. But then I started dreaming about it. That is when I'm like, okay, this might be something that I should try to tackle. I started dreaming about writing books, and I was an author, and I'm like, what does that mean? Why is it showing up in my dreams? But it's because I wasn't listening. So it was showing up like different areas, things were popping up. And so that's when I think I started to listen. And I think that goes with anything outside of writing. If there's something, like you said, that continues to pop up, continues to come up, you continue to think about it, there's a reason for that. You are called to do that very thing that you continue to think about. And I just got chills, like just even saying that.
It's just so real. It's just so powerful. Like I said, you saw it in your dreams.
In my dream.
And it's like when you see it, you're dreaming about it, and you can't shake it. You know, like okay, it's time to take action. It's just time. Like you just gotta jump into the deep. You know, some people try to tread the waters lightly. You know, just
jump.
So, you know, you just gotta just jump straight into the deep end. Guys, I'm really hoping that you're really having as much fun as I am. You know, I'm enjoying myself right now, but I just want you guys to really think about. There's so much excitement. There's so many things you can bring to life in your books. Draw inspiration. Like for me, Zion, maybe you could piggyback off of this. But when I'm looking for inspiration, I do two things. I'll watch cartoons, like because some of the things that I grew up on, like I watched Doug and Hey Arnold and Arthur. So I would take inspiration from there. But like I said, I would go to the children's section in the library and just read and just engulf the energy and things like that. So what do you do?
I think that going to the children, when I was looking for inspiration or just ideas, going to the children's book section and the libraries and the bookstores is where I spent a lot of my time. And I also think because I have two children, so I look at them and they give me ideas a lot because, children, a lot of things that children do are the things that are in stories. So, I don't know if this will be a book one day, but my son and my dog are the best of friends. They run up and down the house, they roll around together. So I'm like, that's a book. Like, I don't know what type of book it is, but just those are ideas that are in my daily life. And I'm like, this is an idea for a book. So being around children definitely helped me as well.
Okay. Spoiler alert, Cyana Riley's coming out with the book for her son, all the adventures of her son and her dogs. We don't know when it's coming out, but just a spoiler for you guys. But I'm with you on that. Kids, they just do things and you're just paying attention, like wow, like that would be interesting, to put in a book. Even for me, I mean, kids have asked me, hey, I have a question for you. I'm like, yes. Are you? No. Sometimes they would ask me if I'm Andy, but they would say, are some of the things that happen in the book, are those personal experiences? Like, did you experience any of that stuff? And I'm like, well, the stuff about the in-school suspension and all of them, yes. In-school suspension and, things like that. The relationship that I had with my mother is a real, like in the book, whenever I do something wrong or I get in trouble, I would talk to my mother. So I want to put those things into the book. Like I said, just our normal everyday experiences.
Yeah.
They can't be overlooked. You gotta draw energy and inspiration for those things. So I'm like I said, anybody who's watching, there's a plethora of things you can be inspired by, but you just gotta pick what you feel is best for you. There's nothing right. There's nothing wrong. It's about what you think is important for you to grow and excel as an author and build your craft, things like that. And Cyana, I love the fact that you say you love giving back to other authors. Like it makes a difference to lead people in that path. Like we talked about earlier, like save them a little bit of heartbreak, right?
Yes. So yes, save them heartbreak. So if there's anyone that is watching this that knows anyone that needs, or if you yourself want to just talk to an author who has published a book, please reach out to me. Like that will make me so happy just to be able to give some type of advice or help to anyone who's starting on this journey. I would love to.
Spoiler alert, Cyana Riley just unofficially started a publishing company. She's going to help people write their books. Guys,
I did. I published my book under Gray Nash LLC, which could potentially one day become a publishing company. So again, if there's anyone that needs help, please reach out to me.
Yes, guys, if you need help, Cyana will lead you the way. She'll connect you to the right people. Like she will definitely be a great resource for you. Please do not hesitate to reach out to her. And I'm going to reach out to her even more to draw
Yeah.
inspiration and resources and ideas. And like I said, guys, this was wonderful. Cyana, I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Antoine. This was great. This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh no, absolutely. The pleasure was all mine. For all our viewers out there, guys, I'm so grateful that you would just take the time to spend with us and hear the stories and hear the conversation. I really hope that it was really a gift to you today. I really do. I hope it really inspired you and made a difference. And of course, I just want to thank the Prince George's County Memorial Library for giving authors a place to shine. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I'm so grateful to be here and, like I said, to be in front of viewers and to inspire them. It's just such a blessing. So all our viewers on Antoine and Friends, I can't wait to see you guys again. We're going to have more and more great guests for you guys, and I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.